You must promise me.
she said, her voice as cold as the air around us.
Promise me that when you reach freedom, you will tell the world what is happening here. Promise me you'll speak for those who can't.
I swore I would. What else could I do? She pointed me toward a hidden path, one I would have never found on my own, and I followed her. But as I stumbled through the jungle, feeling the weight of freedom just beyond the horizon, the guilt began to eat away at me, because I knew that I wasn't going to keep my promise. I thought I had outsmarted everyone, the North, the South, even myself. When I crossed that border, I believed I was free, not just from Kim Jong Un, but from everything. But in this twisted game of survival, I was never the player. I was always the pawn. The plan had been so perfect. The defection, the escape, the torture. It was all a grand ruse set by the North. I'd been trained to take the beatings, to endure the worst of it. To play the role of a broken man who had seen the horrors of the regime and couldn't take it anymore. The South Koreans were supposed to welcome me with open arms, thinking they had gained one more valuable defector. A piece of living evidence of the nightmare up north. I was supposed to be their hero. But the truth? I was never a hero. I was a double agent. Everything was orchestrated. Kim Jong Un didn't just turn on me out of paranoia. He put me in that prison to make my story more convincing. Every punch, every kick, every broken bone, they were all pieces of the puzzle designed to sell my lie. The South Koreans needed to see me as a martyr, a victim of the cruel dictatorship. But once I got across that border, once I had their trust, I would feed information back to the North. And Kim would win, not through brute force, but through deception. But plans never go the way you expect. When the bullets were flying and the dogs were on my heels, that wasn't supposed to happen. The soldiers chasing me, the gunfire, the chaos, it was all meant to look real, but they weren't supposed to actually kill me. Somewhere in the chain of command, the message got lost. Instead of firing blanks, they were using real bullets. The dogs were out for blood, and I was caught in the middle of a deadly miscommunication. My perfect plan became a deadly reality, and I had no choice but to run for my life. When I crossed the border, I was half dead, covered in filth and barely able to stand. I thought I had won. I thought I had fooled them all. But then, I remembered her. The woman, the ghost who saved me in the jungle, the one I had sworn to help. She had warned me. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was desperate, scared, and alone. When she appeared, I clung to her like she was my last chance at survival. Her pale face, her hollow eyes. She wasn't just some figment of my imagination. She was real, and she had been watching me, waiting for me.
Promise me you'll tell the world.
And in that moment, I did. I swore to her that I would be her voice, that I would speak out against the horrors of North Korea, that I would expose the truth for those who had been silenced. But as soon as I felt the safety of the South, as soon as I was no longer running for my life, I broke that promise. I wasn't there to tell her story. I was there to lie. At first, I tried to forget about her. I told myself she wasn't real, just a hallucination brought on by stress and fear, but I couldn't shake her. I couldn't erase the memory of those empty eyes or the way her voice echoed in my mind.
You promised.
The words followed me everywhere. I'd hear them in the silence of the night, a whisper in the darkness that I couldn't escape. I thought I was just paranoid, that the guilt of my betrayal was eating away at me. But then she started appearing again. At first it was small things, a flicker of movement in the corner of my eye, a shadow in the cell that didn't belong. I would turn and for a split second I'd see her, standing there, watching me with those dead eyes. I told myself it wasn't real, that I was imagining it. But the more I ignored her, the stronger she became. Soon I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, she was there, waiting for me in the darkness. Her voice would grow louder, more insistent, until it was all I could hear.
You promised.
She would say, her voice like the wind howling through the dead trees.
You said you'd help us.
No one else could see her. The guards, the other prisoners. They had no idea what was happening to me. To them, I was just another defector struggling with the aftermath of the North's brutality. But I knew the truth. She wasn't going to stop until I kept my word. And the worst part, I knew I couldn't. I couldn't tell the world the truth because I was living a lie. I was sent to betray the South, to feed the North information that would cost more lives. I was complicit in everything I had sworn to fight against. The woman had died for her cause. She had trusted me, and I had broken that trust. The more I tried to ignore her, the more control she took. It started with whispers, but soon she was everywhere. I'd feel her cold breath on the back of my neck when I was alone. I'd catch glimpses of her reflection in the mirror, her empty eyes staring back at me. She'd stand at the foot of my bed at night, her face twisted in anger, her fingers reaching for me. I tried to resist. I tried to block her out, but she wouldn't let me forget. She began to twist my thoughts, filling my mind with the horrors I had witnessed in the north, forcing me to relive every painful memory. But it wasn't just the torture. She showed me the faces of those I had betrayed, the people whose lives had been destroyed because of my lies. And then, she made me see myself, the coward who had promised salvation but delivered nothing but more death. I couldn't take it. I started scratching at the walls of my cell, trying to carve her name, trying to give her the justice I had denied her. My hands bled, my fingers raw, but I couldn't stop. The guards thought I was losing my mind, but they didn't understand. I wasn't losing it, I had already lost it. Every night she came closer, every night her cold fingers wrapped tighter around my throat, her whispers more vicious, more condemning.
You broke your promise, she'd say. Now you'll pay.
And pay I did. I spent hours each night scratching out my confession in blood, trying to make things right. But it was never enough. She wouldn't leave me alone, not until I was completely broken. If this story made your skin crawl, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more bone-chilling tales of betrayal and madness. And click the playlist in the top left corner to watch more stories that will keep you up at night.